Here we go again. Dawn, welcome. So I got on a call with Dawn. When was it? A few weeks ago, something like
Hmm.
that. Talking
Yeah.
all about her coaching around grief, helping people with grief. And I said, let's jump on a podcast episode. This will be beneficial for everyone. It'll be beneficial for anyone who has a coaching business, who's a practitioner, healer, and you do focus on something that is a little bit more intangible or focusing on
Right.
something that is a bit more experiential with people's, whether it's their grief, their stress, their anxiety, confusion, you're helping people overcome things like being stuck, being overwhelmed, all these things that can have a pretty uh, can have a tight message, but sometimes can leak into a bit more of a broad, bit nebulous, bit intangible realm, which means we're getting less and less engagement, less and less traction with our message and with our engagements online. So,
Hmm.
talking to Dawn, welcome, Dawn. Uh,
Thank you, Tyson.
Question: how about you give us a little bit of a bit more detail about what you do, how you do it?
Well, I work as a grief recovery method specialist. So I help people, and about 90% of my work is online because then I can work with people all over the world. And I help them navigate the emotional pain that comes after any type of loss or transition. Many times we get stuck and we don't really know how to move forward. And, anything unhealed in our heart affects every aspect of our life. So I help people unpack. Many of us talk about we have baggage, we take baggage into relationships. I help us unpack that so we can build new relationships and new aspects of our life where we're thriving and we're experiencing joy versus carrying that pain with us throughout every step we take.
Beautiful. Now, clearly, something people need.
Oh,
Clearly,
yes, especially
clearly,
in this world today.
yeah, clearly something people want. Now,
Yes.
one key piece that is very, very common is a lot of people will market themselves, helping others achieve joy, helping them thrive, using these, sounds nice. We know we'd
Right.
like to thrive. If you ask someone, would you like to thrive? They're going to be like, absolutely. Would you like joy? Of course, I love joy.
Sure.
But is it specifically a tangible outcome where people can easily visualize something, right?
Mhm.
Easily visualize something tangibly and experience. Can they imagine a snapshot of a particular specific moment in time when they've achieved an outcome? Probably not.
Mhm.
When you say,
Right.
when you say, I'm going to help you thrive, what comes to mind? I don't know. There's no clear snapshot. There's no, I'm seeing myself on stage. If I'll say, if I, can I help you get on stage in front of 20 people? You
Hmm.
immediately imagine someone. You immediately imagine yourself on stage in front of 20 people, right?
Exactly.
Can I help you get on a stage of, a stage with 20 people in the audience who are all your ideal clients? You're like, all right, I'm imagining this. Can I
Hmm.
help you go on a date with your partner where you're looking at each other in the eyes and you can actually start feeling the same butterflies as when you first met? Like you visualize something. It's very hard to
Yes.
visualize more joy, more peace, more calm.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's what we.
Especially if you're in grief at the time.
Hmm.
Like I can envision it, but that's because I've done so much healing work myself.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what it means to you. Like you can
Right.
imagine what it means to you, but if you were to market the message, the average person would be like, it's such a broad topic. It's very hard for me to picture something, picture an outcome. Therefore, it's hard for my mind to attach and associate a value to it.
Right.
Right. So that's what we can work on. Now, you told me before we press record that you have this pattern, this tendency to want the message to be perfect before you put it out there. Um,
Yes.
Now, I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of someone say that they'd like to put, they'd like to have something perfect before they put it out there. Never heard of that. It's new for me. I hear it all every day. Um, every day. It's just And some people don't even know that they have that tendency. They just say, "Oh, it's not ready yet." Right? It's
Mhm.
not ready yet. It's just, now some of that is true in terms of if their message is very broad, very nebulous, whatever. Yeah, there needs to be some work, but we don't want to fall so much into the other category. I see it on a continuum. Are you at one end where it's just like so broad, so nebulous? There actually needs to be some work done to make it more
Right.
effective and efficient, compared to the other extreme where you've done so much work and it's effective and it's efficient and whatever, but you just have this pattern that you don't want to release it because it's not perfect, because of fear of rejection, fear of it not working, fear of crickets, whatever it may be.
Right.
So we work with that as well. Um, Question: when you were reading the ebook, what was the thing that stood out that was the most helpful?
I think what was most helpful is just really honing in on, what are the issues that people that keep them up at night?
Yeah,
What are people worrying about?
yeah,
What's keeping them from living their best life?
great. It's always a good, once again, visual. I'm trying to get people to
Mhm.
visualize their ideal client staring at the ceiling at night, unable to sleep because they're thinking about something, right?
Right.
Thinking about something. Now, your quick win campaign doesn't have to be something that they're thinking about at night, staring at the ceiling, but it is a good reference point to say, like, would they be thinking about this? You know,
Mm.
would and what language would they be using in their head as they stare at the ceiling? No one's really saying, if only I just had more joy, if only I had just more peace, if only I was more connected to my body, everything would be okay. No one's
Right.
saying, not many people, I would hypothesize. So when you were reading that, or as you visualize your ideal clients going through grief, going through loss, going through this transition in their life, they're dealing with some very particular pain point. What is it that they could either, one, what is it that the tangible problem that's top of mind, or what are some tangible problems we can brainstorm? Let's just start there. What are some tangible, measurable, investable problems that they're dealing with because they're feeling this grief, whether it's in their relationships, it's in their health, it's in their finances, it's in their career and business? Is there anything in particular you notice as certain patterns?
Oh, definitely struggling in their relationships,
Yep. In what
like
way?
struggling with the communication, you know, really not able to connect with other people, especially like their partners.
Yeah.
Um, Easy to anger,
Yeah.
very reactive,
Cool.
and often feeling like, well, if my partner changed, then our relationship would be better.
Now, now we're getting somewhere. Um, how often is that the case? If only my
Almost
partner would be
always.
different, if only my
Almost
partner would be
always.
different in some way, then I would be
Hmm.
more happy.
Right.
Yeah. Now that's you putting yourself in their shoes, thinking what would they need to think, thinking what would they be thinking. It's not you saying what they need is more self-love. Yes, they
Right.
do need that, but it's not what we market to, because they're not staring at the ceiling being like, if only I could love myself more, everything would be okay.
No,
We
they're
know that
saying if only my partner would stop doing this or would start doing this, I would be happier.
sometimes it's, hey, if only my partner was to love themselves more, they would
Right. Yes.
they would not be doing these behaviors, and then it would make my life easier.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now we're getting to a place where we're entering the experience of our potential ideal clients, potential prospects. So very, very cool. You mentioned, so relationship communication.
Hmm.
Let's play with this and say, I like to come up with meaningful moments. So, meaningful moments is a moment in time when they're dealing with this problem of relationship communication, and it's like a snapshot in time
Mhm.
that we can visualize. For example, what would be more marketable? Me to say, are you struggling with communicating with your partner and feeling disconnected? Or, hey, are you sick of the awkward silences across the dinner table, knowing you're not going to talk to each other, right? Or
Like,
are you sick of are you sick of the embarrassment of going to bed in different rooms
mm,
because you're fighting? Do you struggle to communicate with your kids about why you and your partner are always yelling?
mm,
In each scenario, tell me if I'm wrong, there's a visual there.
mhm.
That's a meaningful moment. It's a meaningful moment when they're experiencing the pain, they're experiencing the problem.
Right.
It's a snapshot in time. It's across the dinner
Mhm.
table when you're eating, and it's just like this awkward silence because neither of you want to talk to each other. You know,
Mhm.
it's that moment when you wake up from sleeping in different beds and being like, who's going to hug the other one first? Is someone going to say something? Is it just going to go on all day?
Right.
What do we do next? It's just like that awkward moment of like, what do I do next? Those
Mhm.
now they're moments in time when they're experiencing this relationship disconnection, miscommunication, anger, reactivity, what you were describing before. So what goes through your mind as I explain things like this? Any other examples you want to give?
Well, kind of like the sleeping in different bedrooms, the just going to bed with so much unsaid, like
Yeah.
anger or sadness, not saying goodnight to one another,
Yeah.
and then trying to sleep when you're right next to this person and there's all these emotions coming up that you haven't expressed
Yeah. Yeah.
and unspoken words between you.
Yeah. Cool. Beautiful. I imagine that. I imagine going to bed at night. You like it's dark. You're both, in bed, and there's just racing things you want to say, emotions coming
Right.
up, thoughts going through your head, replaying things. Obviously, you're not going to get a good night's sleep, but this is still under the umbrella of grief,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely. Hmm.
This is still in your marketing. It's the moment. It's the grief of something, but this is how it physically manifests in terms of tangible problems in your relationship,
Hmm.
right? We could also focus on tangible relationships with money and your finances and things that grief can cause as tendencies in your finances. But we're focusing
Hmm.
on relationships right now. And what I'm noticing is you're a very good marketer. You're very good at this. Like, for you to be able to highlight, going to bed, having these racing thoughts, all these things you just want to say, but
Hmm.
but you're in the moment when you're in dark trying to sleep. Yeah, very key, very meaningful moment. That's very marketable. That can you see how that would hit someone emotionally and how that would allow someone to say, that's me, compared to something that's broad, nebulous, and tangible. Something like, I just want to run this program to help people thrive and live in joy. Very different.
Yes.
Very, very
Yeah,
different.
because you can't visualize that or feel it the same way.
Yep. So, question: someone who is experiencing this within their relationship because of the grief they're going through, they're arguing with their partner, there's a relationship breakdown, all these things we're describing here. If if you could snap your fingers and their their result that they're after could manifest, what would they really ask for? If you could say, hey, I'm going to give you a wish around your relationship and around your communication. If I could just snap my fingers, what would they say they want?
They would say they want peace in their relationship. They want to
More.
be able to communicate on a deeper level without the conflict.
Yeah. Great.
They would want to be heard and understood.
Okay. Cool. Um, I love that because if they can communicate without conflict,
Mm.
They can bring something up before bed, have a connected conversation, and therefore go to bed without the racing thoughts because everything's been said
Right.
in a healthy way.
Hmm.
Beautiful. What else? Anything else that they would want if they could snap their fingers? So you snap your fingers, their ideal outcome manifests in their relationship. What else would they ask for?
Um, just to feel that deeper connection
Mhm.
with their partner, to feel accepted. I think a lot of times when we're experiencing emotional pain and we talk about it, we're worried that we're going to be rejected. We're worried that someone's not going to want to listen or they're going to want to try and fix it.
Yeah, very clear. Cool. Now let's just play with this and say, similar to the problem, how we got a
Mhm.
meaningful moment. What would be a meaningful moment in terms of the outcome? If they could feel more connection, feel more accepted, communicate without conflict, feel heard and understood, what's a picture you can paint there? What's a snapshot in time that they could experience and visualize?
Um, a shift for that I can think of is they would be able to express before they go to bed
Hmm.
what's on their heart, what's on their mind in a way that doesn't cause more conflict. They can ask for what they need.
Mm.
And I always call it being a listening heart. We can ask someone to be a listening heart for us. They just listen without the need to fix, without giving advice, without judging us, but to just listen from the heart space versus I need to give a response or do something about what they've just said. And so that creates deeper connection.
Great. I'm getting excited about this. What uh, what can you communicate is the contrast. They go to bed and they go to bed, racing mind, unable to sleep, emotions coming up, so many things they want to say, but they can't say it. Compared to a visual outcome that they want, when they go to bed, what's the difference?
The difference is they go to bed without their mind racing,
Hmm.
that there's connection between their partner and them. Give each other a hug, I love you, whatever they normally do when they go to bed, but they don't feel this stress and tension.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like sleeping next to their soulmate again.
Mm. Yeah, because one of the things that's so important, and it for some of us, it's really hard to realize this, is that conflict with our partner is not necessarily about them. It's about what's coming up in us. Like, what is this bringing up from our past? What triggers have been activated?
Yeah,
What buttons have been pushed?
yeah, great. Yeah, I really do think that there's a real visual we can have here. We all know what it's
Mhm.
like to go to bed with your partner, feeling on the same page, connected, a deep soulful level. You have expressed what you need to express. You're cuddling, you're kissing. There's intimacy. There's like this real sense of safety within the bedroom. There's just like you can rest peacefully knowing they've got your back. There's just something there that's visual that can be a meaningful moment that you could use as an example of
Right.
deeper connection, better
Mhm.
communication without conflict, right? There's just something visual there that we can do as a contrast. But I can imagine if you run a quick win campaign with this intention of people who are going through grief, having this disconnection with their partner, but yet they're struggling to sleep. They're going to bed and their mind's racing and they just have all these things they want to say and they can't say it. To give them a template, to give them some rules of engagement, to give them uh, some kind of framework that they can communicate before bed So when they go to bed, they feel like they're sleeping next to their soulmate again. They feel like they're sleeping in a safe place where this person has their back. They feel fully heard and understood, and therefore they can rest peacefully. Like that's a visual. They visualize going to bed, sleeping next to their partner, cuddling, kissing, whatever their routine is. They just feel safe to do all that.
Mhm.
Now, when they visualize that, people can immediately place a value to that. They're like, I would dedicate myself X amount of time, X amount of finances, X amount of resources. Because I want that. I can visualize that compared to I'm going to help you have, I'm going to help you experience more joy. I'm going to help you thrive again. People like, what do I invest? How much energy? How much time commitment? Like the mind can't can't associate something to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So how do you feel about this so far?
I feel really good. However, like I could definitely help them get some quick wins, but they're also like the deeper work that I do with people isn't something we're going to do in like 2 weeks. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Exactly. That's the beauty of a quick win campaign is they have places to go. This is a quick win, right? A quick win is something where like, hey, I'm gathering people who are experiencing grief. I
Hmm.
could run a quick win helping them with this, simple tips, communication with their partner so they can achieve this outcome. Quick win.
Right.
What's a template? What's something to say or not say? How to have the courage and confidence to speak what's on your heart and to share in a space that's open and connected and without conflict. That's something that can easily be achieved in a
Right.
2 3 week period. You're just giving them the template, helping them focus on whatever comes up within them in how to do that, and then they have accountability and support with execution. Right,
Okay.
very very quick win, and then you may have members that say, "Oh my God, we were actually able to talk about this, and I've been avoiding that for 6 months." Or, "Hey, my partner finally heard me, and I feel actually loved. Now I was able to express in this way. Hey, we finally had this conversation around this topic without blowing up. We haven't been able to do that in 8 months." You get those kinds of things. Now that they know how to communicate, now they know how to somewhat connect. It opens up some momentum. It opens up momentum for other things to do the deep inner work. And now, like, hey, now let's actually focus on the deep grief, focus on the life that you want, focus on the other wins we can achieve, focus on whatever it may be that you
Right.
can help with further.
Okay.
And then you could run another quick win, people going through grief, and all of a sudden they're struggling financially because they're grieving, their work um, productivity is down. Maybe their job's at risk. Maybe they struggle to find the energy to actually go out and work. Or, they've picked up some spending habits now that are unhealthy for themselves. You know what I mean? And then you
Hmm.
can create quick wins around people who are grieving, but they're struggling financially. And you
Right.
can create some quick wins there. Then someone else, hey, because of their grief, now they're experiencing something with their health, or they're experiencing something with their friends, they're experiencing something with their lifestyle. There's so many ways you can gather people in
Hmm.
experiencing grief that gives them the doorway to enter into your signature program.
Okay.
Do you see the picture?
Hmm. Yeah. Makes
Uh,
sense.
do you have any questions about that?
No, I think actually just this conversation helped a lot because you're right. What I've been talking about is not tangible, but the
Yeah.
things that we've discussed in this conversation, like I can feel them in my body when I
Yeah.
talk about them.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what we want. We want someone to come across. You think of someone scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through LinkedIn. They come across a post where it hits them in their body. And they're like, oh, that's me.
Hmm.
That's what we want when we're marketing, because
Right.
then people are like, geez, this is actually built for me. And now they're creating an easy no-brainer for me to jump in. You may run your quick win campaign for free. You may run it for a low cost or something, or have some kind of guarantee or whatever it may be. that's a couple steps ahead. But you run a free quick win campaign, and they're like, I want to be involved. Like this is something I'm struggling with. I'll do anything to improve in this
Mhm.
way, compared to marketing to something that's more intangible. A lot of people
Right.
market to people and say, are you experiencing some sort of challenge in your life? Are you going through some kind of transition? Are you feeling stuck? Like broad, nebulous, intangible. It's just so broad. People can't get that vision, that physical, how it hits them in their body.
Right.
So what excites you most about this?
Just having people like really be able to relate to what I'm talking about, and think, wow, I have been struggling with this. I do want some help. I don't know how to move forward. And just being able to reach people at a different level.
Yeah. Now, I want you to imagine reaching people and you find a message that works. You send messages to people, you send out 20 messages, 25 messages, and you get, 13 to 15 people say, hey, I want to be involved with that. That, like with people in the intensive, that unlocks something for them. They're like,
Hmm.
I now have a reliable way to have people jump into something. They're like that. It's like a mind blown moment where they're like, oh my God, I actually found a message that people respond well to, and they actually want to get on
Right.
Zoom calls with me, and they're trusting me to help them overcome something and achieve something. Like it's very cool moment. And then they just get excited with spreading that message more and more. Now, that's the kind of thing we want, but you also have the freedom to test and tweak. You have
Hmm.
the freedom to test a different message, but the foundations are still the same. The foundations are still the same in terms of you've got your specific niche, you've got your specific problem, you've got a specific outcome, and your main question as a business owner is to say, I wonder if this combination of niche, of problem, of outcome resonates with people. So you send out personal messages, you build relationships. I know you have questions around this, so we'll get into this next bit. You send personal messages, whether that is an upfront message, if it suits, if it's within context, and say, hey, I'm helping people who are dealing with grief, who are really struggling with communication with their partner, and they just go to bed at night and they just can't sleep because they just have so many things unsaid. I'm going to teach them a framework of how to explain things in a way that's safe and in a way where they feel heard, but also that decreases conflict. Would you be interested in learning something like that?
Hmm.
If that people know if that's them or not,
Right.
right? Or you can do a warm conversation. You reach out to people in your audience, you scroll through your Facebook friends, LinkedIn friends, emails, and you see people, who may have been engaging with your grief stuff in the past, and you touch base. You say, hey, how you going? How's this thing? Last time we talked, we mentioned this. How's that going? And you ask them how they're going. They're going to ask how you're going, and you're going to share a little bit about the program you're going to be running, the Quick Win campaign, and you're going to be sharing how I'm going to be helping people with grief who are really struggling with their partners, and then they may ask questions, you may ask questions, whatever it may be, but eventually all the details are going to come out, all the details around the specific problem. Hey, I really think people are going to bed at night and they're unable to sleep and they have so many racing things in their mind because they just feel like they have things unsaid. Therefore, I want to teach them a template of how to communicate that in a way that increases connection instead of conflict. Do
So
you
I
want
have a
some?
question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm reaching out to people like, that I know, and
Yeah,
this feels very personal. Like, well, you know, it's like I'm making the assumption that they're having issues with their partner,
yeah.
right? So could I make it a little bit more general that it's not just their partner? It could be, issues with communication with any loved one in their life that are keeping them awake at night.
So there's a couple options. Um, one could try it, right? You could try going more broad. Or what I would do if it is a little bit more, if people feel like you may be reaching out to them and they feel a little bit insulted, like people do this
Right.
with weight loss. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm helping people lose 50 pounds. Clearly you need help. So, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
um,
I don't want to do that.
clearly you have a very horrible relationship with your partner. So, I'm helping people. you know, there's
Right.
there's one way you can do that is to say, do you know anyone? I'm helping people with
Oh,
this main problem. Do you know anyone who
right.
would be interested?
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Many
And
people
what
would say,
about,
I was going to say, many people will respond, hey, I want to be in, I want to be involved.
right.
But you're letting people know what your main problems you're resolving is, and it's a no-brainer. You're
Hmm.
like, I'm going to help people create quick wins for free. They just got to jump on Zoom, engage in this community, have some accountability support, download these resources, follow through, and I'm going to help them get a very meaningful quick win. I'm just trying to find
Hmm.
the people I can help, right? So when you explain all the talking points, and you're like, would you know anyone who would want to jump in and experience this incredible transformation for free? If it suits them, they're going to be like, hey, don't worry about them, sign me up.
Right.
Okay, what are we gonna ask?
Well, I was going to ask, so I have an email list. Is that something that I could send out to my email list, or you're really recommending it's individual emails that go out to
Yeah, so
specific
what
people?
I would recommend, that's what I call expanding the reach. So more
Hmm.
leverage things, doing your videos on social media, posts, mass emails, these sort of things. That's expanding the reach. We want to test the message first. So
Okay.
you want to make sure the message is tested. And the only way you can do that really is through personal messages first. The only reliable way, for most
Okay.
people. For most people. So, for example, you'd send a message to 20 people and you see what kind of responses you get. You see how many people have seen the message, how many people respond, how many people, what the response is. And then you send enough where you get at least 20 responses for people who are in your niche. And then you think, all right, well, 12 people said yes, they're interested. All right, that kind of ticks the box of people are interested. Or you might get even
Mhm.
more. You might get, you know, if you get 20 responses, maybe 14 are all interested. If they've gone through your grief stuff before, and you're like, that's a huge tick. Um, Now I have the green light to put it out there to the masses. It's almost like saying, I'm going to test this to see if it's worth running.
Right.
Once I
Okay.
know I'm going to run it, I'm going to spread out the message to everyone and get as many people in here as possible. But you don't know
Hmm.
you're going to run it yet, because you could send 20 messages, you get 20 responses, and two people say, I'm somewhat interested. And you're like, all right, didn't land. Right. And then you don't have to run something. You don't have to put on a campaign and spend a lot of time, energy, and effort on it, because people aren't interested. And therefore you get to test another message.
Hmm.
But doing this work, from what I found, if you do the work up front and making it tangible, clear, compelling, visual, uh, you generally get good enough responses where it's worth running a campaign, in my experience.
Okay.
So yeah, you test the message. Once the message has a tick and you're like, okay, this is worth me running a quick win campaign, then you broadcast the message. Now, you still can send individual emails. That's still a
Hmm.
personal outreach, you know. Um, in the quick win intensive, we had a guy who really his database is full of emails. And so he was sending personal emails out to everyone. So can be done, can be an option, can be a resource for you. How many emails do you have?
400.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people, especially if you're sending out personally. But you don't need to send
Right.
400 personal emails. You send out 20, send out, you see what responses you get back, send out another another 10, maybe send some personal messages on Facebook, maybe send some on LinkedIn. Once again, this is building relationships. And especially if you're reaching out to people who have grief, who are grieving around something, or have experienced your stuff in the past.
Mm.
If they're not interested in this, if they say, no, I'm not interested, I actually have a really loving partner, and we communicate clearly, we have sex every night, we whatever, you'd be like, okay, great, is there anything else that you struggle with while going through grief?
Right.
You document that. You're getting to know
Okay.
your audience, and you're like, hey, and they say, oh my god, my health has gone out the window, and I'm addicted to cookies now, or I haven't been exercising and I just struggle to go to the gym now. I don't have motivation to go to work. You document all this and you see the patterns within your audience and say, hey, if I run a next quick win campaign, helping people get back into the gym, would you be interested? And if 7 people all say the same thing, all of a sudden you now have 7 people ready for your next campaign.
Mm-hmm.
You're just getting to know your audience and tailoring no-brainer offers specifically to what they're struggling with.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes.
I'm excited for you.
Thanks, Tyson.
I'm ready. I'm ready to get this out there into the world. Is there any other questions you have, or anything else regarding personal messages, your outreach, anything like that?
I don't think so. I think I asked all of them, and I'm having lots of ideas coming into my brain. So,
Okay. So in the intensive, I have a Google sheet
okay.
where people get to list. You get to document all your talking points. So you're going to get to brainstorm in there, and you're going to get to put in there. You're going to get to put in your niche, the priority problem, the outcome, and you just get to play around with some things in there. I'll teach
Okay.
you. I'll teach you in the intensive some other talking points that matter most as well, regarding what's at stake if they don't take action, what's the positive ripple effect if they do, what's your unique vehicle of how you're going to get them from A to B,
Mm-hmm.
what's the mistakes they're making that are keeping them stuck, and obviously a call to action. So they're the other talking points that I'll walk you through. You don't need to worry about that now, but it'll give you a place where you can just put everything, so that's
Okay.
all on digital paper, but you can put your ideas in there, and you can share
Okay.
that with me. We can brainstorm or whatever it may be, but we can choose something that resonates with you, resonates with them, and then it also gives you a lead tracker. So on tab number 4, you can track the people who you've contacted, you can track the date, you can track their responses, and you can start picking up patterns easily that way. So I'll
Perfect.
provide that to you. All right.
Sounds great.
What else do you have? What else? Anything else that's coming up, or do you think you have enough to execute something here?
Yeah, I definitely think I have enough to execute something. I was thinking about when you were talking about eating cookies. So, when we're grieving, one of the things that happens is like we have a reduced ability to concentrate. We're either overeating or not eating at all. We're either sleeping all the time or having difficulty sleeping. And so I could definitely talk about the eating piece, like,
Cool.
people finding themselves just wanting to go eat cookies and ice cream and all these comfort foods
Mhm.
to numb themselves. So that's
Yeah.
definitely one that I could also.
Yeah. You'd go through the same questions we asked here, exact same questions, get a meaningful moment.
Mhm.
We've all had them. I mean, me too. I've had moments where, you binge eat, or you grab something, you eat the chocolate or whatever, and you just eat too much and you're feeling sick and you're like, what did I just do to myself?
Right.
I've never had, chronic, moments like that, in terms of I'm very healthy and very fit, but I've had moments where my brain just immediately goes to the kitchen. I'm like, what are you
Mhm.
doing?
Right.
Right. Sometimes when I started really reducing sugar, I cut out sugar and flour products for 2 years, and I would be confused on an email. I'm like, I don't know what to put. And my body just got up and went to the kitchen searching for something to eat. I'm like, what am I doing?
Mhm.
because I didn't want to feel confusion. And now
Hmm.
my body's looking to binge eat because of something I don't want to feel. But they're like, that's a meaningful moment for me where I'm like, my body's hardwired to go get sugar when I'm feeling confusion around what to write for an email.
Hmm.
But I'm
Yeah.
sure you can come up with some meaningful moments specifically for people going through grief. Um, yeah, that can be another quick win campaign you can run, and it's just different doors, different entry points to get into your signature programs. So you've got
Yeah.
options, and you're not locked into anything, but all exciting ways to just build more and more, you know, positive. And even if someone says no to the relationship transformation, you can ask them, hey, um, while you're going through grief, do you notice anything changing with your health? I'm going to be running that next. I could be
Hmm.
running that next if there's enough interest,
Right.
in the next couple of months or whatever it may be.
Hmm. Great thought.
Um, well done. You've got enough here to execute. Um, where can people connect with you further? Is there a particular place, a website, a social media platform that people can reach out and connect with you further?
My website is dawnmichellejackson.com. Michelle has one L in it. And then I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook with the same name, Dawn Michelle Jackson.
Cool. Will you send me those links? I'll put them in the show notes in the
I
description
will.
so people can easily connect. Anything
Yes,
else
definitely.
you feel like you have as questions, queries, comments before we wrap this up?
No, I'm just excited for looking at things a little bit differently,
Yeah.
as far as marketing and my message out there, because I think it really is hard being an entrepreneur and trying to figure out the specific message that's going to bring in our ideal clients, right? And so I am so grateful for you and how much you've reached out to me and how much you've already supported me, and look forward to this program that's starting next week.
Cool. Pleasure. Look forward to it. Good job with your willingness to do these things uncomfortable and put out a message that may not be perfect, but you're going to do it anyway.
I'll do it.
Takes courage, takes some discipline, but also some passion. With follow the passion, follow your excitement, because that's what's going to transfer to your potential quick win campaign members. That's going to be a really cool piece. Is just you're excited about it now. You're putting that out there. They're going to feel that. They're going to trust you. My hypothesis is you're going to get some good engagement. It's going to be a breakthrough for you because you're going to get some people wanting help, and we'll see what we can put together for them. All right.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Tyson.
Cool. Thanks, Don. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Cheers.